the subject that I have discussed a few weeks ago, I would like to elaborate or give further details regarding those 5 mental hindrances, Pancha Nivarana. So can you remember the names of those 5 mental hindrances that always interrupt or disturb or mislead our spiritual development or purity or religious way of life? Yes, I want to know whether you can remember those 5 mental hindrances. What is the first one? Either in Pali or in English. Kamachanda, very good, in Pali. English, what is the meaning of Kamachanda? Sensual desire. People have very strong craving towards pleasure, to indulge, to enjoy their senses or to experience worldly life, sensual pleasure. This is Kama. Chanda means liking. Kama means pleasure. But this is the nature of this world where we exist. Manushya Loka, human realm, and Tirachina, animals, and Devas, Devalokas. These 3 belong to the Kama Loka. There are 3 world systems where living beings exist, categorized into 3. First one is Kamaloka. So we belong to this. Animals also. Then Devas. And some other spirit forms and devils, ghosts also. Although they are unfortunate, but still they have very strong craving for this and that and pleasure and everything. All our problems in this world are due to this sensual pleasure. Human beings are fighting, killing each other because of this craving. Animals fight or bite each other or kill each other because of this. And Devas also, because they are not free from craving. They too have jealousy and anger and craving. So the problems all those living beings, humans, animals and devas, face because of the pleasure. But amongst these 3 groups, human beings have very strong craving. Animals have limited craving. Human beings have more craving because of their mind. They have discovered so many things and they have developed their craving, and they think the purpose of their life or living is to enjoy this life. They do not know how to go beyond that, to make use of this life. To gain their pleasure, to experience this pleasure, they adapt any kind of cruel or wicked, harmful, cunning, immoral method. The problem starts from there. And human intelligence is very advanced than the other living beings. And violence, bloodshed take place because of that. Human beings shed more blood on this earth than the other living beings. Slaughtering others to gain more pleasure, but not for their survival. Animals also kill other living beings, that is for their survival, for their living. This is the problem. We are trying to justify, that is the weakness, because we mislead others. We are not ready to admit our own weakness. And we have very strong egoism. Egoistic mental attitude challenge and try to topple, try to overcome, or try to deny any kind of wicked things that they have committed. There is one particular discourse given by the Buddha, which is called Samanya Phala Sutra. In this discourse, the Buddha has given parables for these 5 mental hindrances. He says, those who are seeking, craving, thinking that the purpose of their life is sensual pleasure, day and night, go on thinking, planning, working, to indulge, to enjoy worldly pleasure. Then he says, a man who has taken a loan from a bank or from his friends or relatives to do some business. He started his business. Now day and night he is thinking how to develop his business, how to make profits, how to return the money that he has borrowed. These things are bothering, disturbing his mind. As long as he is indebted, he is under obligations and no peace, somehow or the other, working very hard, he could manage to make profits and settle the loan that he has taken. and he is having peace of mind, and he make use of the profit to have very peaceful, satisfactory, pleasurable life, then as long as that we are longing, planning, working, thinking how to enjoy worldly pleasure, is like a man who has borrowed from others and working very hard, still he could not make any profit, he could not settle the loan that he has taken. He experienced unhappiness throughout his life. Those who are crazy for pleasure also never gain satisfaction in their life. In the end they depart or they die as frustrated people. So the man who has made profit, working very hard, settle his debt and enjoy his life in very reasonable way, is like a man who has reduced this kamachanda, sensual pleasure. So that means we cannot enjoy our life by indulging our five senses, but by calming and reducing the craze. The more we reduce, the more we get the chance to maintain calmness and peace and happiness and satisfaction and contentment in our life. Now this is the nature of kamachanda or sensual pleasure. And the second one is, what is the second one? Another person, not the same person. Second one, Pali. First in Pali, then in English. Yes? How many thousands times we have repeated these words? What is the Pali word? Or the second one, second mental hindrance? Vyapada. Meaning? What is the meaning? Ill will. There are three words: anger, hatred, ill will, grudge, enmity, so many words in the same group. But each word gives different meaning. The mental attitude differs. Here, ill will is not anger. I have told you, anger is emotional. This emotion sometimes we use for good purpose. To train others, to frighten others not to do bad things or wicked things. That is anger. But the motive of that emotion, they divert toward the worthy cause, to train others. Like father and mother who threaten their children, who beat their children with anger, emotion. That is not under this category. Their idea is to train their children to live as respectable people. Hatred is another word. Hatred means, I hate you. When I say I hate you, my idea is not to cooperate with you, not to associate with you, not to do anything with you. In other words, I don't like you. I hate you. That mental attitude also not very healthy. But anger and hatred, two different things. Then ill will give another meaning. Ill will is more dangerous than the other two. Ill will, waiting to see the downfall of others whom you don't like. Now if you come to know that your enemy or the person whom you don't like had a very serious accident, you feel very happy, very good. That is called ill will. Very good. If not, you heard he died suddenly, very good, very good. That kind of mental attitude. Not only that, you are waiting to listen, to hear his weaknesses, his downfall, but not his good things. You don't like to hear that when people come and talk about your enemy, he is doing a lot of good work, he is doing charity and he is taking 8 precepts, he goes and meditates. I know he don't talk, because he doesn't like it. So ill will completely stop the positive side, always waiting to hear the negative, ill of him, bad news about him. So, as long as we maintain this mental attitude, we never think seriously that we are making bad karma. We harm ourselves. We pollute the purity of our own mind by harboring such mental attitude. That mental pollution creates so many other evil forces in the mind. So many other thoughts, wicked thoughts, created by that ill will. So this is a very strong mental hindrance for us to maintain purity or the spiritual development or pure religious way of life or respectable way of life. That is the second mental hindrance. Then the parable the Buddha has given in this discourse is like this. A person who had been suffering from a very painful sickness for a long time. During that period he had a lot of pains and worries and disturbances and suffering. So one day, after taking certain precautions and medicines, he could manage to get cured completely. That sickness is no more. The happiness he experiences is exactly like the person who could manage to get rid of that ill will we have been keeping in his mind for a long time, because it is a sickness, mental sickness. You withdraw your ill will, your enmity, your anger, or your enmity. After that your mind becomes pure. You are free from that sickness. Because that mental sickness can create so many other sicknesses. Completely can ruin your physical body and change your mental attitude also. What is the third one? Tina Midda. There are two words there actually, Thina and Midda. Meaning, Thina means laziness of the mind, laziness of thinking, lazy to think, maintain very dull mind. That is Thina. Yes, many people, minds are very dull. So they don't like to think, or they do not know how to think. Midda. What is the meaning of Midda? After thinking, that mind create some good thoughts, but very lazy to do anything, just keep quiet. Are they two different things? First thing, mind is lazy to think, just keep quiet without thinking. Some others think, create very good ideas, but never do anything, lazy. The thought just disappears from the mind. Now this is also a mental hindrance. Cannot develop the mind, cannot gain knowledge, understanding, purity, or the development of the mind. Those who do not know how to think, they cannot force them to think. By forcing they do not know what to do. They have not used their mind, or how to make use of their mind even during their previous birth. That mental habit is not there. That is why very lazy. Now the knowledge that you gain by listening or reading or discussing, improve your understanding, and certain ideas or certain misconceptions that you have been maintaining in your mind as truth or fact, you withdraw. You realize that is not the truth. That is called learning. When you withdraw certain misconception and wrong belief that you have been maintaining in your mind, that is called learning. Thinking we have to do by using all our mental faculties. Mental energy alone cannot think. We have four faculties. One mental faculty supports the other mental faculty. Their relationship or their harmony must be there. Otherwise, the mental energy alone cannot do anything. Many people think mind means mental energy, that's all. But they do not know how to analyze the mind. They do not know the nature of the mind. They do not know how good ideas and bad ideas appear in the mind. Why do they appear? Because of these mental faculties and five senses and the mental object. See how many things are there now. Four mental faculties support each other. At the same time, these five senses bring so many external things to support these mental faculties. At the same time, we create our mental object according to our habit. That is also another object. Not only that. Besides all these four, our subconscious mind, what we have accumulated life after life, also influence or project the mind. See how many sources are there now. That is why we are having a very big mental battle. We cannot decide. We cannot come to any conclusion. And we cannot stop certain bad things although we know they are bad. And we are so lazy to do certain good things although we know they are very important because of this friction. Because Buddhism or the Buddha's teaching emphasized, elaborated, explained the nature of human mind. Directly we have to deal with the mind, not with any other external object. For meditation also we take our own mind as an object, not any external thing. Then laziness, as I mentioned just now, or lazy to do certain thing although good thoughts appear in the mind, depends on how we have been using our mind life after life. That is mental habits. Then confusion and disturbances and various other forms of interruption take place due to the friction that take place amongst the mental faculties. Example, now we experience some sort of feeling. That is one mental faculty. Nice feeling or unpleasant feeling. This feeling that we experience create wrong idea. The wrong mental object appear in the mind because of my feeling and your feeling. Again, certain things that you have seen, hear, or touch, you come to know later, or others come to know that your identity is wrong. Your recognition is wrong. You have created the idea in your mind, this is good. But later you come to know this is not good, this is bad. Wrong identity. Now you want to associate with somebody, or you want to marry somebody, thinking that person is a very nice person. Later you come to know it's very bitter. Wrong identity. You have chosen the wrong objects. This is another mental faculty. Now you can see how friction clashes take place. Again, your mental tendencies or habits by nature, all of us have our own mental habits, not given by anybody, not given by our parents or God or Buddha or anybody. Our intrinsic or natural habits, our likes and dislikes. Without any reason we don't like certain things, but we do not know why we don't like it. That is our mental habits. That is how we used our mind during our so many previous births, life after life. And we also develop our attachment, inclination towards certain things and some people. And this love, this attachment, also we continue life after life. Like again we get together like magnetic power. And certain things that we don't like, or some people whom we don't like, and that mental attitude also we continue. Enmity, grudge that people maintain in their life, in their mind, also they continue. Attachment and love also they continue. So mind cannot become active if you do not use our mind. And the lessons given by the Buddha for us to activate our mental energy, so simple, but we don't take seriously. Mindfulness. Be mindful. What does it mean? Without allowing your mind to be lazy, inactive, without allowing your mind to go down to passive stage, use your mental energy. Mindfulness. What is that mindfulness? In every thought there must be mindfulness. You must know what you are thinking, whether useful or harmful or dangerous or not. Mindfulness. Now mind has no chance to become lazy. Awareness. Every word that you utter, this word can create enormous troubles and problems and misunderstanding, enmity and many problems. So you can avoid unpleasant, unnecessary misunderstanding if you talk mindfully. You must know what you are talking. You must know to whom you are talking. Whether this person is an educated person or what you call narrow-minded person, hot-tempered person, religious-minded person. You must know that. Otherwise you can create misunderstanding and you waste your word for nothing. That is the meaning of be mindful when you talk. Again, when you come to know that talking is not important. Talking can create more misunderstanding. Then you must have courage not to talk. There are certain occasions that we have to keep quiet. So that awareness must be there, mindfulness must be there. Otherwise you go on talking all sort of rubbish. Then action. You want to do so many things for your living, for your pleasure, to fulfill your duties or responsibilities. For your living you have to do so many things. But in every action, in every step, there must be mindfulness. Then what is this mindfulness? First, you must know what you are going to do. While you are doing, you must know what you are doing. Then you have to think the outcome or the good and bad effect that you are going to create because of your action. Sufferings or satisfaction that you are going to create because of your action. That is called mindfulness, awareness in your action. So simple, but we don't use. This is for our mind not to become lazy, to be active, at the same time useful, to avoid lot of problems and troubles and disturbances, and to lead peaceful life, harmless life, or respectable life. So many people just go on wasting their time, creating certain imaginations in their mind which are not practical at all. They know very well they cannot put into action these things. So you have to think something that you can do within your capacity. Otherwise that mental hindrances hinder your spiritual development. Laziness reduce the real human values in our human mind. That is the third one. So the example given by the Buddha in that discourse is this. A man is in the jail, imprisonment for many years, sentenced to jail. During that period, he cannot make use of his mental energy or physical energy or for better purpose, for his own development. He can do a little bit of work, certain things, but no freedom. Always worries, very miserable life. So the time that you spend without thinking, creating good thoughts, just like the time that you spend in the prison. So one day, when you were released from that prison, and the happiness, freedom, satisfaction we gain in our life, there's like that alert mind, which maintain awareness and mindfulness and brightness, cheerfulness, satisfaction, we can find in that mind. Next one. Kamachanda, Vyapada, Heenamidya. What is the fourth one? Yes. From this side, no sound. Try very quiet this side. Some of them are newcomers, isn't it? They are not used to these terms. What is the fourth one? The Pali word? Kamachanda, Vyapada, Heenamidya. Cannot. Alright, this side. Uddhacha, Kukkucha. Also two words there. Uddhacha, restlessness in our mind. Kukkucha, worry. These two things but introduced as one item, one mental attitude. Always go on thinking and worrying and worrying. Then physically and mentally very badly affected. Then later so many sicknesses, some other problems. By worrying we cannot stop or we cannot settle any of our problems. After stopping our worries, try to do something, divert the mind towards something else. Then we forget worries. So restlessness remains or appears in the mind. Sometimes we do not know the reason why. But we know something is bothering. If we cannot understand the reason why, there is no peace in our mind. And at the same time, if we cannot understand why mind is not peaceful and happy, so we have to think this is nothing but our subconscious mind influence the normal mind. In our subconscious mind there are so many calamities, problems, clashes. They are working like waves in the subconscious mind. When the chances arise, the calamities in the subconscious mind influence the mind project. If the mind is active, if the mind is occupied with something else, at that time subconscious mind cannot influence. That is why the Buddha has given this advice. Be mindful always, then the subconscious mind cannot influence or mislead or create restlessness in your mind. And the other one is Kukkucha, worry. Worries appear in our mind because of our craving. There is nobody in this world who is free from craving and worry. But wise people understanding people know how to minimize, how to reduce, without allowing that worried mind to play havoc or disturbances. They know how to keep that mind under control. At the moment, that is the only thing that we can do, because we cannot eradicate our craving. It's very strong. Craving is needed. We think without craving, how can we live? What are we going to eat? How are we going to support our families? But that is different type of craving. But we have extraordinary craving for indulgence. Go beyond that. Worries, the more we develop our craving, the more worries appear in the mind. The more you try to enjoy your life, the more you develop your worries. The more you try to become rich, the more you worry. At the same time, as poor man, poor people also you worry. But these worries are very minor things. Poor man's worries are not very, very dangerous. He may worry about his food, or about his shelter, about his children. That's all. But rich man's worries at the risk of his life. Life also in danger. When he goes out, there may be his bodyguard. These are very big worries. So no one is free from worries, but the nature of our worries, or the degrees of our worries, we increase and reduce according to our way of life. You have a lot of worries in your mind about your family, your wife, your husband, your children, their education, their future and your future, and so many things. All these are worries. But these worries never settle your problems. If you are wise, you can reduce many of these worries, be active, do something without wasting your life. Then slowly you can lead your life without allowing worries to disturb you. I told you what Shantideva, a Buddhist scholar, has written about worries in Bodhicharya Avatar. Bodhicharya Avatar, a book written in Sanskrit, the duties and responsibilities and the character or the nature or the vows or the principle of a bodhisattva. The life of a bodhisattva. What are the qualities, virtues of a bodhisattva? There are two things. They are beautiful sayings. He says, if there are worries or problems in this world, without worrying about your worries, what you have to do? Try to find out whether there is any solution for you to overcome your worries. There must be some solution. See what a wonderful advice. Because you become active when you try to find out the cause of this worry or this problem, or how to overcome this worry or problem. Again he says, certain worries and problems are natural. There is no remedy for certain problems. So if there is no remedy for your problems, do you think by worrying you can get rid of them? Then why do you worry? What you have to do, strengthen your mind. Thinking the whole world or the whole mankind, each and every person has to face some of these problems. They are natural problems. That is the price we have to pay for living in this world. We are not at liberty to lead a free life without paying the rent. We try to escape to live without paying the rent. But remember, although we are not paying in terms of dollars, we are paying the house rent in terms of worries and pains and troubles and problems. You cannot escape. The way how you pay, because you have occupied this world, so freely you cannot stay here. You have to pay. The way how you pay the rent, your worries, your troubles, your pains and problems. So when you consider in this way, then you can make up your mind, this is natural. I have to tolerate. I have to face this problem. But there will be a day that I will be free from this problem. Religion is needed for that, to find out how to get rid of this. So we have completed 4. What is the last one? Vicikiccha. Pali. English, skeptical doubts that we maintain in our mind. This is another mental hindrance. Without using our sense of reasoning to understand things, we maintain some sort of concept in our mind to say yes or no. If not, to say I don't believe this. But without using the reasoning, without using common sense, at once you can say I don't believe, finish. This is called a skeptical doubt. Example, when we talk about rebirth, that life exists again after our death, at once some people say, oh, we don't believe that. To say that we don't believe, they have never done any research work, they have never studied by using their understanding, knowledge, common sense. So the concept they have implanted in their mind, maintain, that is called skeptical doubt. If not, another one. We say the Buddha is the enlightened, or the person who gains supreme wisdom. Therefore we must listen to him, think what he has said, whether useful or not, practical or not. Then some people say, how do we know whether he gained enlightenment or not? Because that person never tried to study how the Buddha gained his enlightenment, what he has done to gain this enlightenment. And what he has said about life and the world and the universe, without thinking at once, you say, how do we know he gained enlightenment? Why should we follow him? A skeptical doubt. Again, you see, we should not commit bad karma. If you do, we have to face the consequences, bad effect. We must try to do some good karmas, meritorious deeds. They are useful for us as well as for others. And some others say, oh, we don't believe in karma. We have nothing to do with that. Belief is not important there. Karma means action. Karmic effect means reaction. It is natural. There is no religion there. Those who have no religions also face the same effect without any difference. So the belief is not important. And this type of skeptical belief or concept is another mental hindrance for our spiritual development. Because we have to open our mind. We have to think unbiasedly, without depending on any previous concept that we have implanted. If we try to judge many things by using the certain beliefs and ideas that we have accommodated in the mind earlier, we won't be able to understand the truth or the reality. Always depend on the concept. So the advice given by the Buddha is this: to understand things, first you should not apply your faith, your belief. At once, if you use your faith or belief that you had in your mind, you measure everything according to that belief. But you do not know the belief that you have been keeping in your mind is wrong. Therefore, open your mind. There must be vacuum in your mind to judge, to measure, to consider. Then you can understand. So, when you consider in this way, you can understand. For everything, the Buddha has given the first preference for our mind. The mind is responsible for everything. So these 5 mental hindrances disturb the purity and development and knowledge and wisdom by knowing. So we must try to reduce these 5 as much as possible that we can. The more we reduce these things, the more we develop purity and knowledge and wisdom. This is the advice of the Buddha. Thank you. Akasatta Bummata Devanaga Mahindika Punyantang Anumoditra Chirang Rakkantu Loka Sasanam Nitta Utachyamhi Sambhatam Punya Sampadam Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Devo Asatu Kalena Sasya Sampatti Hetu Ce Phito Bhavatu Luko Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Idam Ho Jnatinam Hotu Sukita Hontu Jnatayo Imina Punya Kammena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya.